Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is ecomaine, the way trash should be, a program for public works folks and transfer stations and just anyone else who'd like to know more about ecomaine and what we do and how we do it. We are sustainable trash and recycling and landfilling for Maine. So what does ecomaine do? Well, we're a waste management processing company in Portland. We take about 70 communities in Maine and just a couple in New Hampshire, actually. We own 3 facilities, our own facilities. We have our recycling center up top here at 62 Blueberry Road in Portland. We've got our waste to energy facility at 64 Blueberry Road. Within that waste to energy, we actually facility, we have a food waste storage area where we take food waste from South Portland and some businesses and restaurants and things, schools as well. And that food waste is actually going up to Exeter, Maine to be anaerobically digested at Stonyvale Farm in their anaerobic digester, which is incredible. And finally, we own our own landfill, which is located 3 miles away from our other 2 facilities. Where are we specifically? Well, we're right here in Portland, right by the Portland airport, but where are we in terms of where we take material from is all the way up to Lemoyne, all the way up to Mount Vernon, over to Freiburg, and down to over the New Hampshire border in Greenland and Newington, as well as Kittery, Elliott, and everywhere in between here. So we have about 1/3 of Maine's population that we process for, which is really great. So why ecomaine? Why us? Well, our mission statement states that we provide comprehensive, long-term solid waste solutions in a safe, environmentally responsible, and economically sound manner, as well as being a leader in raising public awareness of our sustainable waste management practices. So pointing out long-term, we're really in it for the long haul. We're not looking 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead. We're looking much farther than that in order to make really smart decisions now. And also, we are leading the charge for public awareness, because we want to make sure that folks just like you know what's going on within our walls and how we're doing it, most importantly, so that it can be done correctly and safely. We are, of course, a nonprofit, and which is wonderful. And we have a board of directors made up of folks just like you, public works directors, town managers, and other representatives from our 20 Maine-based owner communities. And another really thing that's special about ecomaine is that we have earned 2 very rigorous standards of excellence at all 3 of our facilities. These ISO certifications really show our commitment to keeping both our environment and our employees safe. So why does this all matter? So we're really looking to push waste up the hierarchy as far as possible, which really means we want to start with reducing. Can we reduce our waste that we're producing in order to conserve resources first and foremost? Then can we reuse? Reusing is really incredibly important, because once we have those resources out there, can they be used for a longer term? Finally, recycling is something that we do here at ecomaine, which is very important. We are a single sort recycling facility, and we process all the recycling here to send off to make brand new things. The next thing here is compost. Composting, of course, is taking food and turning it into soil. Anaerobic digestion is actually also on this line here. We want to make sure that food is put to its highest and best use as well. And then finally, we've got our waste to energy, which is what our trash goes into, where we combust or burn your trash and make ash that goes to the landfill. So we want to fill that up as slowly as possible. We also make pollution and ash, as well as electricity from the trash. So we'll talk about that in the second half of our program, what's happening with all that stuff we're creating, but really focusing on putting as little in the landfill as possible, because the ecomaine landfill is scheduled to fill up around 2045. So we need to try and reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost as much as we can in order to keep as much as we can out of that landfill, so it fills up as slowly as possible. So let's focus on recycling for a bit. What do we accept in recycling? This is ecomaine's yeses and nos to recycling coming up. We want your cardboard of any type. It could be a box you got in the mail. It could be a cardboard box that you got a package in, you could have a cereal box made out of package board. So any of that cardboardy stuff is great. Tubes, perfect. All your paper could be any shape or size, as long as it's kind of bigger than your palm or bigger than a Post-it note. If it's too small, whether it's paper, glass, etc., it's just going to fall through the cracks of our facilities and be swept up as trash and go to our trash facility. So making sure that the materials that we get are the correct size as well as being the correct items. So all your cardboard, all your paper, we take all of your metals here. We want your anything from soup cans, corn cans, bean cans, your pie plates, your aluminum foil, the tops on your, say, salsa or spaghetti sauce jars. All those are wonderful. Also room spray, hairspray, and spray paint, all fine. We really just want you to make sure things are empty, okay? No matter what type of material it is, it has to be emptied out. You know, we don't want your moldy spaghetti sauce that's still in the jar. And we also don't want half of can of spray paint, because we've got a baler that squishes things together, and you know that would make a big mess. So anything you give us must be empty. When it comes to things like glass, we talk about cleanliness. So think of your peanut butter jars, and back to the spaghetti sauce jars. We want to make sure that you rinse out the spaghetti sauce jars and you really get as much peanut butter as you are able to out of the peanut butter jars. Think of like a spatula or a knife. Or use your dog. All those jars are great. We don't want things that are glass windows. We don't want your mirrors. We don't want your ceramic mug that you broke this morning. All those things are not what we can take as far as glass goes. So your glass containers are what we want there. And finally, as far as what we take, plastic can be the most confusing. So folks think, well, I've got a plastic tube of toothpaste or lotion. Is that recyclable? Unfortunately, no, because tubes just aren't the type of thing that our buyers want. Well, I've got a plastic pen. Can I recycle my plastic pen? Well, no, unfortunately, that's also not the kind of things that our buyers want. People who buy from us want containers, anything from your juice container, your detergent container, your water containers, your shampoo containers, all those are great. They want them to be rigid, meaning they have to have a shape. Like think of a plastic shopping bag. You could really crush that in your hand, right? That's not rigid. That's not what we want. And finally, your plastic has to have a number or symbol on it. So I'll go into more details there. But again, containers, all kinds of things from foil to pie plates, and then all of your metal containers, cardboard, and paper. Since we are a single sort recycling facility, we want it in one bin, not 5 different types of bins. So we sort it at ecomaine, and we only can sort the paper from the plastic, from the metal, from the cardboard, etc. We don't want to sort out the trash from the recycling there. So this is what we want. We want a good load. We see cardboard, paper, metal, glass, and plastic in here. This is what we get a lot of the times. We are getting black trash bags and recycling in clear trash bags and styrofoam and random pieces of plastic and netting and bubble mailers that are paper and bubble mailers that are plastic. We can't take either of those, unfortunately. You know, we get a lot of stuff, and it's not what we want. So this is really to help understand what we do want. More of what we would like not to see is couch cushions, food smeared on something else that looks like a cushion here. We've got electronic waste over here, maybe a sleeping bag or a jacket here, electrical wire, shoes, a car seat of sorts, all within a black trash bag, and then leaves a nice maybe dress or blouse, and then a belt here. So all that mixed in with the good recycling makes for less good recycling if it's not the right stuff. So what do we really want in detail? Well, all of your paper dues include everything from egg cartons to your orange juice containers, your milk in a box, wine in a box, broth in a box. Corrugated cardboard is great. Your paper of all kinds, even though your junk mail has a window in it, don't worry about it. Just pop that in the recycling bin, and the recyclers take care of the window for you. And we don't want any bags ever, unless it's a clear bag with shredded paper inside. So that's our one caveat to no bags. And the reason being is that we can accept shredded paper in a bag because otherwise it is confetti and it goes everywhere. If it's in a clear bag, we can see it and throw it down to where it needs to be, where it's then opened up and put on the paper baling line. But if it's in a brown bag or a black bag or a purple bag or any other color bag besides clear, we actually see that as contamination because we just aren't able to open every bag and see what's inside. So make sure any shredded paper is either in a clear plastic bag, or it could be composted, or worst case scenario, it goes in the trash. The kind of paper that we don't want includes your tissues, your paper towels, your toilet paper, your soiled paper. So anything with heavy food on it, that's just not good for us to recycle, because think about that turning into a new piece of paper. That's not quality, as well as no wax paper. The metal dues are anything from your juice and your sauce and your soup and your bean and your corn cans to your cat food, dog food, your pie plates, your tops, your aluminum foil. Of course, we are a deposit state, but if for some reason you're not able to or don't want to deposit, we take those cans as well. The kind of things we don't want are screws and nails. Those can fall out. They give us flat tires. They can be dangerous as well. Speaking of dangerous, we don't want things like saw blades. Those can be hurtful, as well as things with freon in them. Air conditioners, mini refrigerators, yes, they're metal, but no, we cannot take them because of the stuff inside them. And finally, the large stuff. We have in the past gotten things like this, and they have ripped our belts, and that's not good for our production, and it's not good for sorting, and it's not good for safety. So anything large like this, and even scary and small, could go in metal bins at transfer stations. We do not want them in your recycling bins. The glass dues can be up to 5 gallons, and they just must be empty containers. They can have lids on or lids off, totally your choice, but just make sure that they are empty. Of course, there's no need to take any labels off. We get that question sometimes, but you can leave all those on, of course. The kinds of glass that we don't want are your windows from your house or your car, your broken ceramics, because that's of course not glass, your mirrors, and your light bulbs. No kinds of light bulbs, especially because this kind often has mercury in it, and that can be very dangerous in our facility, of course, to the people who work here. So this can go back to places like Home Depot and Lowe's. They've got bins at the front of the store that you can take those to. The plastics that we want are, again, the containers, anything under 5 gallons in size. If it's a bucket with a handle on it, we'll take that. If you're able to clip off the handle and put that in a metal bin, wonderful. If you're not, we'll just take the whole thing. But again, everything must be empty. And the rules of plastic are, again, they have to have a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 on them. Ecomaine is great in that we take 1 through 7. Some places just take 1, some places just take 2, and some places don't take anything at all. So we're very excited to take 1 through 7, but that's what we need to get, not the random stuff. We need rigidity. So think of your drinking water bottle. You could squeeze that, right? But you can't really crush it down in your hand like you could a shopping bag. So that needs to go not in the recycling bin if it's not rigid, but all rigid things can go, as well as being a container. So you have to answer yes to all 3 of these questions. It can't just be a container. It can't just have a number 2 on it, or a number 5, or a number 7. An example is a dog food bag. It's a container. It has a number 5 on it, but it's not rigid. You could crush that dog food bag down in your hands. Some don'ts are food bags, bubble wrap, no styrofoam, no shopping bags, Ziploc bags, wood pellet bags, chip bags, and of course, no black trash bags, no clear trash bags, no bags of any kind, unless it's got that clear shredded paper in it, or that shredded paper in the clear bag. There is a wonderful website called plasticfilmrecycling.org that you can actually take, you can look up and take some of your plastic bags too. So say I live in 04103 is my zip code, and I look down and I say, oh wow, I can take my plastic films to all these places. Water plastic films, well, it's your bread bags, your produce bags, your bubble wrap, your air pockets, your bubble mailers, the Amazon things. that you get in the mail, and your shopping bags galore. All those can go in the bins at these stores. Of course, during COVID, definitely call or check it out to see if the bins are still there, but most of them are right now, which is great. So that is an opportunity to take your shopping bags, etc., to a place and not have them be put in the trash. But of course, worst case scenario, put all these in the trash, not the recycling bin. Here's some other don'ts that we just don't want. Everything that are called tanglers that get stuck in our stars, from hoses to lights to leashes to your chains and ropes and electrical cords, to things that are just odd that we don't want in the recycling bin, like Christmas trees, bicycles, clothes, pillows, tarps, blankets, and food. Other don'ts that are considered dangerous include anything sharp and could hurt someone, no electronic waste, no hazardous waste, no sharps, of course, no chainsaws, which we have gotten before, as well as these lithium-ion batteries, which can cause a serious threat, as well as propane tanks. These can cause fires and harm either our equipment or our humans, or employees that work here, which neither of which we want to happen. So once we got through what we want and what we don't want, how does it all work? Well, you've got either curbside, or you've got a transfer station, or some other way that you get recycling to where it needs to go, as far as a location to get it picked up at. Then we take it from there. A truck, whether it picks up a silver bullet or a compactor, or it picks up on the street, comes to us. It drives into our facility after getting weighed at our scale house, and it dumps off material. From there, our front loader goes to work. So once it's on our floor, it's our turn. This is the cardboard, paper, plastic, metal, and glass from your transfer stations, from your houses. It gets pushed up onto this upper level here. It goes through this drum feeder and then up the hill. And on that hill, someone's actually picking out trash that should not be in the recycling bin. Before it goes up that hill, it actually, when it gets dumped off, there are folks on the ground here looking through that material as well. So we are judging the material when it comes into our facility to say, oh, it's 0% contaminated, it's 5%, 10%, 15, etc. Anything above 26% contaminated actually is picked up and goes downstairs, down the hill, to our waste to energy facility, which is not something that we want to happen. We would love to take your recycling and process it and send it off to make something new. We don't want to put it in the trash. So it's important for everyone to understand what we want and what we don't, so that we don't get a lot of junk in the recycling. So once it goes past that person at the top of the hill who's looking for trash, propane tanks, bags of trash, hoses, etc., it drops down into a larger area where it goes over rubber stars. These rubber stars are quite large, and they're spinning on axles. So we see here 1, 2, 3, 4 stars on an axle spinning around, and it's letting the large things go up and over. That plastic Tide container just went up and over. Well, someone's actually going to throw that in a plastic bin to later be baled with the number 2 colored plastics, which we'll talk about later. You might see some stuff stuck in the stars here. That's some stuff that we just didn't want, but got in anyway. And right about now, we're going to see a plastic bag of trash. So that bag of trash went up and over. Again, someone's going to have to throw that away for whoever put that in the recycling bin. So cardboard goes up and over, glass, metal, plastic, paper goes through. It goes through a room where humans pick out more trash and more cardboard that didn't go through. And on the other side of that room, we are actually taking out the paper. And we take out the paper with these stars here. There's about 300 of them, again, spinning on axles on 2 different levels like this. What you're seeing right now is the top level. The paper comes up, it goes up and over the stars. Glass, metal, plastic fall through and go a different way. So paper goes one way, glass, metal, plastic goes the other. It's just being moved around and pushed by gravity and its size. The stars, again, are pushing it up and over, glass, metal, plastic falling through because it's heavier. Down below, this is the second level, again, just showing It's a double checker to make sure the paper goes up and over. Glass, metal, and plastic again falls all the way through to the bottom belt there. So here's our paper on the belt once it's been removed by the stars. And it takes a turn, it goes back through the room where humans can pick out any more trash, say grocery bags, etc. And then it goes downstairs to be baled. Here is a short clip of our stars. Of course, this one is black. We see lots of colors here, and that's because there was trash put in the recycling bin that wasn't able to be grabbed in time. So these, what we call tanglers, things that get caught in our stars, are then they have to be pulled out. So in this case, a couple times a day, unfortunately, we have to stop the machine and lock it in place. And our friends have to climb in there with their PPE and their scissors and their box cutters and metal cutters, whatever they need in order to remove things. And it takes quite a while each time to remove all this stuff from the stars. So anything from shirts to tinsel to looks like ribbons or twine to bags of all shapes and types and colors. So again, please give us what we need and what we want, not what we can't have. So after the cardboard and paper is taken out, it's time to take out the two types of metals with two types of magnets. We have ferrous metal, which is your soup cans, taken out by a typical magnet. So think of taking something off your refrigerator and putting it above the belt here. So soup cans, etc., are grabbed up and brought over and thrown, grabbed, thrown, grabbed, thrown, grabbed, thrown into a bin. Whereas non-ferrous metals are not attracted to that regular magnet and they have to be removed by a reverse eddy current magnet right here. So the reverse eddy current magnet is under the belt here and it's pushing the aluminum away from the magnet into that bin. So it's ricocheting away from the magnet into the bin here and everything else drops down and goes to the side. Next up, we've got glass. We don't recycle glass, we reuse it. So it gets crushed by metal stars into this kind of glass aggregate looking material, which is then collected in a large container bin, which is then picked up when it's full, taken to the landfill, and it's put next to the landfill. It doesn't fill up the landfill, it's not put in the landfill, it's put next to the landfill, where it's then picked up for free. It's a free resource for pothole fillers, construction buildings, and countertops for kitchens and bathrooms. If this material could serve you well, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. The last thing we sort is plastics. Number 1 through 7 are sorted differently. This machine, called an optical sorter, is taking out the number 1. So your water bottles, your strawberry containers. It's doing this by reading the type of plastic and then blowing a little bit of air to push the number 1 up and over. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 plastics actually fall straight down and go into another room here because the machine does not see it. The optical sorter is set to only see number 1. So here we're sorting out number 2, natural colored, like your milk jugs. Number 2, colored, like your laundry detergent jugs, and 3 through 7 down here. And again, remember that the humans in the facility take out the trash, like the bags, etc. So it's our job at home and our transfer stations to make sure that we're removing as much trash from the recycling as possible. So the last thing we do with your recycling is we bale it. We have separated it into its own bins, and once those bins get full, we send it downstairs to bale. You'll see the lines on the bales here. That's wire that has wrapped it up to make sure that it doesn't make a mess after we squish it together. And it's inspected. We make sure that we are sending off the highest possible quality material. We don't want to send off our material full of junk because our buyers wouldn't want that. So it is rolled over and inspected to ensure that the correct materials are in the bales and the incorrect materials are removed. The outside of the bale is used as an indicator for the inside. If there's just a couple things on the outside, those are removed because they understand that there's only a few on the inside as well. But if they see a bale that has a lot on the outside, that must mean that the stars are full of stuff and they need to be cleaned out. And so we make sure that if a bale does not look like it should, we bring it around front, cut it open, and send it through again. But if it's a great quality bale, it either goes on a truck right away or in a pile to wait for a truck to be picked up either later that day or later that week. The trucks are filled up and then weighed, and then they are sent off on their way. And where does our recycling go? Well, our glass stays right here in Maine to be reused. Our plastics go to Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, etc. Our cardboard goes to Quebec, New York, and Massachusetts. Our metals go to Pennsylvania. And our paper, of course, used to go to China, and now it goes to India, as well as sometimes in North America, West Virginia, just to name one. And we look forward to someday hopefully sending our paper up to Rumford, Maine. It is important to note that our plastics do not and have never gone to China. We have domestic or United States markets for that, which we are very proud. And what could your material turn into, of course, if it's put in the right bin? Well, here's a playground at Willard Beach in South Portland made out of milk jugs and aluminum cans and soup cans. Here is a play recycling truck made out of milk jugs. Here is a mat for your front walk, for your front door, that is made out of recycled polyester, as is this shirt, both made out of #1 recycled plastics, your water bottles, your strawberry containers. Here are some water bottles and a bicycle made out of your recycled aluminum, everything from foil to pie plates to soda cans. Here is a takeout bag or a grocery bag made out of recycled paper, as well as recycled toilet paper. So instead of deforesting, why not recycle paper and make toilet paper out of it? So that's recycling. And now here's food. We want you to know that food is not garbage. We would love for your food not to be put in the trash can. And some options here are, there are food pickup organizations like Garbage to Garden. We compost it, Scrap Dogs, Mr. Fox, etc., depending on what area of the state you're in, that can be picked up at your house or your transfer station. There is backyard composting and as well as vermicomposting options for you out there, whether you have land to compost on or not, and as well as drop-off food sites if available. These are the locations that we know of that had food drop-off sites. For example, here is Falmouth's transfer station and their food waste drop-off. It's taken by a company called We Compost It, where it goes up to be composted at their facility, which is wonderful. So try and get your food out of the garbage because it really weighs it down as far as weight goes. It also makes it very juicy and wet. And anything that goes in the trash can is burned, and burning your juicy food waste is not productive. We want to make sure that it's put to its best and highest use, so compost if at all possible. So let's talk about trash now. We at ecomaine take about 170,000 tons of trash per year, and we take about 40,000 tons of recycling per year, just to give you an idea. This is the outside of our trash building, our waste to energy building, as we call it. Our recycling building is right next door. This is the outside, trucks coming in to drop off in this large door. If we were to drive in that door, we would actually see this picture here. These large doorways in between these two rooms this is where everything's dropped off, and this is where the front loader pushes all the material into the giant trash bunker that is then picked up by a claw. So your trash is made at home, taken to the transfer station, picked up on the curb, etc., goes on a truck, is dropped off and shoved into our giant trash bunker room, is picked up by a claw, and it drops it into the hopper, which leads to the fire. The trash burns for about 4 hours total here, where it's then completely burned at this point and turned into ash. The ash is then cooled off for another 4 hours in a water bath of sorts, and then it's put on a conveyor belt where it goes up a hill and into a truck. Right before the ash goes in the truck, there's actually a very large magnet that removes any ferrous metal, just like at the recycling building. That ferrous metal is then recycled at another facility and turned into new wonderful things instead of just being put in our landfill and buried forever. That's great. The ash goes to the landfill. We have a couple hundred trucks coming in per day and only ballpark 10 leaving per day. So we're really vastly reducing the size and volume of the trash to 100% down to 10% left over. That goes to the landfill instead of our 100%. So ash, of course, is one thing we create. The next thing we create is steam. When the trash is burned in the walls, there are pipes that have water in them that is demineralized by a reverse osmosis filter. The water is then heated by way of fire because the trash is burning at very, very hot, almost 2000 degrees. And that water is heated up into steam, which goes through a steam turbine generator, which turns very, very quickly, and that creates electricity. So we're creating electricity by burning trash, which is very cool. Finally, we're making pollution, which is what happens when you burn anything from a bag of leaves to a bag of trash. We are removing pollution at 1, 2, 3, 4 steps and testing it here at number 5 to ensure the cleanliness when it leaves our facility. We want to make sure that it's clean when it leaves our facility. In our trash bunker, this is where all the trash comes once it's dropped off. It holds about 4,000 tons of garbage, and our claw holds about 4,000 pounds of trash. The claws will pick up and bring the trash up to the 6th floor, and it will then go down to the hopper to lead to the boiler where it's burned. This is our claw in action. There are 2 claws that we have. One is controlled by a human at all times, and one is controlled either by a human or automatically. So they can pick up the trash and then drop it. That wasn't a mistake. They are aerating it to allow for more surface area to be exposed to have a better, more complete burn. And they're going to pick it up and bring it all the way up to the top. Our facility is open 24 hours a day. So this crane cab is operated 24 hours a day on a couple different shifts. And they move a load of trash into the hopper, into the boiler, about every 10 minutes or so. So we don't want to overload the boiler. We want to put a little bit at a time because that allows a little bit into the fire at a time, which allows a more complete and successful burn. So here comes our claw up to the hopper. And it gets dropped down where it then proceeds to go down into the fire. Now imagine that fire again, burning, burning, burning for 4 hours. What we have left over here is ash. This ash used to be 100% trash, and now it's 90% ash, which is great. It is cooled off, so it's really stuck together. It's not blowing everywhere. It's not making a mess. And it goes and falls onto a conveyor belt, which runs all along this way before it goes up a hill and under this very large magnet with orange on it. So we're removing about 12 tons of metal, or about 24,000 pounds, over the period of 24 hours. And again, that metal is sent off to be recycled. Once the ash leaves our facility, it drives just 3 miles away to our Ashfill. We're kind of across the street from Smiling Hill Farm on the Westbrook, Portland, Scarborough, etc. line. And this is where our ash comes to its final resting place. It is put in our landfill, our Ashfill, and everything is lined meticulously, making sure that our earth is safe, our groundwater is safe, the land is safe, etc. We are very proud of our Ashfill because it's a nice, calm, quiet place. We're not creating methane because the ash is at its final state. It's not decomposing at all. And we're making electricity at the waste energy facility, as well as recovering or recycling metal. And we're saving a lot of emissions by not transporting all this material long distances. Here's the alternative to waste to energy, and this is whole trash landfills, which create methane gas, leachate, smells, pests, and fires. So we're excited about our waste to energy facility in our Ashfill because they do not create those materials. So let's talk about steam. Steam is another thing we're creating. From the fire, burning 24 hours a day, that heats up the pipes in the walls all the time, which creates steam, which goes through our steam turbine generator that turns very, very rapidly, creating electricity all day and all night. Just a note about this picture, this is our boiler where the fire actually is all the time until we have to clean it out. So we clean out boiler A once a year and boiler B once a year. and we ensure that the pipes in the walls are all set and safe and the right thickness. We make sure everything from top to bottom is good to go and safe, because we want to make sure that this facility is kept to the highest standards and up and running, because we do not want anything to go wrong here, which is why we keep it up to date. So our electricity production is key. We use 10 to 15% of it ourselves from running our electrostatic precipitators, which removes particulate pollution, to our lights on in my office right now, to the recycling belts and computer monitors up at the recycling building. So we use 10 to 15% ourselves in our two facilities here on site, as well as we sell 85 to 90% to the grid to power the equivalent of 10 to 15,000 households, which is absolutely incredible. So the next thing we're making, aside from ash and electricity, is pollution. And again, when we burn things, we make pollution, and we are then mitigating or nixing or removing the pollution from the mix. So in this part of the building here, this is the back of our building. This is where the fire is, and that's where we're spraying in urea injection to turn the nitrogen oxides into a safe compound that is able to go outside. Again, your chemical reactions here are huge in nixing out the pollution. So urea mixes the nitrogen oxide. If we were to take that gas and continue up the reactor or scrubber, here is what this white thing is called. Down at the bottom, we're spraying in something called carbon injection to remove the mercury and dioxin furans by adsorbing or connecting to them and removing them, because they're heavy now. They're no longer going out the stack. At the top of the scrubber or reactor, we're taking out our acidic gases like sulfur dioxide, which can cause acid rain, so we don't want that to be released. We are mixing our acidic gases with lime slurry, which of course acid plus base in the right amounts neutralizes that material. So again, we're taking something not safe and making it in a safe material. Finally, these boxes here, these are called electrostatic precipitators, and they are removing the particulates. Particulates make up smoke and other things that we don't want to breathe in. So these electrostatic precipitators are very large curtains. There's 6 of them, and they are charged, and they are attracting the particulates to those curtains. When those curtains get very heavy, they are actually wrapped on and hit. Particulates fall down, actually mix with the mercury dioxins that have been adsorbed, and then they go into the ash, where they're then mixed together with what we call the fly ash and the bottom ash mixed together, and that goes to the landfill. So you can see that we're not belching out black smoke or anything here, and we know that because we are testing all the time. We're making sure that our air that's passing through our facility and on its way out the door is incredibly clean and not toxic to the environment. So here's a fun video just to take a quick mind break. Hope you enjoy.
Meet ecomaine superstars. Say what? Let me explain. A team of rubber discs in assorted sizes spin on axles with varying amounts of space in between them, and they serve as the worker bees in our single sort recycling process. They spin their little hearts out every day to sort the cardboard and paper, which actually make up 61% of all the recyclables here, and they put them into beautiful bales. Everything else falls right through and is sorted in other ways. But the poor superstars get bogged down with materials that clog up the magical spaces in between them. And when the axles get gummed up, the plastics, cans, and glass can't get recovered effectively. The evil enemies of recycling, rope, hoses, textiles, have been known to cause shutdowns on our machinery, causing time-consuming repairs and a backlog of recyclables. Villainous lumber and propane tanks can cause dangerous fires, too. The moral of the story? When you recycle right, ecomaine superstars can, too. Think twice about what you recycle, and that will make you a superstar, too. Learn more about the do's and don'ts of recycling at ecomaine.org.
So commercials and videos like that are available on our website. If you had any desire to put them on your own town's websites or Facebook pages, Instagrams, etc. The point of that commercial is that we want folks to know what we want and what we don't want. So we've got plenty of fun content like that to help folks know what we can take and what we can't. Now I want to show you our waste and recycling resource library on our website. It's at ecomaine.org. And you can find it there as well as through this recording once it's sent out to you. So we have everything from recycling drop-offs to our Recyclopedia. This is our really fun database, essentially. So you can type in almost anything here. So I'm curious, can I recycle my batteries? Well, what kind of batteries do we have? And you can take your pick. It also had that drop-down menu. So let's see, I have alkaline batteries, my AA, my AAA. Well, this shows me that this is not a recycling item. This, of course, is not a food item. It's a trash item that has to go in the trash. And it has a special note here. And it talks about the details of your batteries and how you used to have to save them and put them in a special place. But now our waste to energy facility can take them just fine. Well, maybe now you have a question about styrofoam. So here's our answer here. This is a trash item as well. So this is a great place. It's got thousands upon thousands of items in our Recyclopedia that you could look up. You could also put this on your town website, on your Facebook, on your Instagram, etc. If you didn't want to do the type in, you could also go through the A to Z list and say you want to know what all the H things are that can be recycled or not and where they go. So all kinds of stuff here. And then there's a really fun game up here called the Wicked Smart Recycler. And you could play this if you wanted to, or tell any family members or friends about it. This is just a fun game where you become the recycler in that you have material and you could put it in any different bin here or area, and then you kind of get points. So it's a really fun little game that we helped create for you. So on our resource page here, we also have customizable materials, everything from posters of what you can that you can put up on your billboards. We also have some of these available to you. We can get them to you so you can have them for your transfer stations. We also have very visual materials that have pictures on them. We also have do-don't lists that we can get to you as well, the picture kind and the words. And then we also have those translated into many different languages down here at the bottom. So not only do we have lots of resources for you for holidays and for door hangers and specifics about foods and Tanglers, we also have them translated as well. Also on this page, we have information on pay as you throw. Maybe your town's thinking about that. We've got the community comparison tool. So if you want to say, compare your town to another town of the same kind of population and size, you could do that on here. We've got information on proper battery disposal, because remember, batteries can cause fires if they're lithium ion batteries. We don't want batteries of any kind, whether they're lithium ion or alkaline, in your recycling bin. Only your AA's can go in the trash, and AAA's, things like those types of batteries. We have a lot of education materials for you, and we have everything from virtual tours, information about our tagging, lots of fun resources and activities for younger students, and all kinds of videos for educational as well. So a really great resource, and this is your plasticfilmrecycling.org website again here, great resources on food and then vendors. Maybe you need some bins and carts and other things. So this is a wonderful library for you to use anytime. And remember that you can embed the Recyclopedia on your website if you'd like to. This is just an example of Standish's town website. And the great news is that you can also put it on your phone. Maybe you just want it on your smartphone. So it can go on your smartphone as a free download from the App Store. Just type in ecomaine. So we think that at ecomaine, education is the ecomaine difference. We want to make sure that you and your residents and your employees and anyone in between know what we can take and how we work and why we work and what goes on here. So we want to make sure that you have all the materials you need, whether it's your do-don't lists or your posters or your educational videos or a transfer station visit from one of us. We will come to your transfer station and we'll put out a table during COVID times, of course, a safe distance away from other folks in order to help them understand the do's and don'ts and whys and why nots of recycling and the trash. So help us help you. We can also help you design some custom signage for your business, your transfer station, your community, etc. So make sure you email us at info@ecomaine.org. We are the environmental educators and communication managers in this photo, and we all get this email, and we will be happy to serve you. So with that, I want to answer some frequently asked questions live on air. So we get a lot of questions, and here are some of them. Can we recycle styrofoam? Well, no, unfortunately not. We can't because there are no buyers who want to buy it anywhere close to Maine, and it would not make sense financially to then transport it to where they are buying it, say down in Massachusetts, New Jersey, etc. So no styrofoam, even though it is a container, and it does have a number 6 on it. So you get a takeout container, or Dunkin' Donuts used to have styrofoam container cups, but styrofoam's a no-no. As are or pizza boxes. We get another question about pizza boxes. Those are great to recycle, even if they have grease in them. We have new studies that say that the grease doesn't really impact the recyclability of the cardboard box. So that's incredible news. So we want your cardboard pizza box. Just make sure you remove crust, you remove liners, you remove paper, you remove anything that else is in that box, only the cardboard, please. We get a question about, well, I want to recycle my thing, and it has a recycling symbol on it, but why don't you take it? Well, we are a specific recycling facility that can take paper, plastic, metal, glass, and cardboard of the correct types. We just can't take those propane tanks. They have a recycling symbol on them. They are made of metal, but we just can't take them because of the dangerous gas inside. Those propane tanks have to go to transfer stations, and we do not take those, unfortunately. Things like computer batteries, they actually have a recycling symbol on them, which is very confusing because those are the exact kind of batteries that can cause fires in our facility. But those need to go back to places like Home Depot, Lowe's, Staples, Best Buy. They can take those batteries back. Do we take bags is another question. No, we don't, except for, does anyone remember that one caveat? That shredded paper in the clear plastic bag is the one and only bag that we take. We used to take grocery bags, but I think it was pre-2012 when we stopped because one, we had them filling up our SARs and they were really making a mess. 2, the stores were trying to move away from plastic bags, as was Maine. And 3, we just wanted to be a little more environmentally friendly as far as what we took. And you could, of course, remember, take your bags to your grocery stores, etc. Just type in plasticfilmrecycling.org, type in your zip code, and it will give you a nice list of what we take, or sorry, what they take and where they are as far as locations. Another question we get is, do we take waste oil? We do not take waste oil here, unfortunately. That goes to transfer stations, etc. Maine Biofuels is a place that takes food waste oil, and they're wonderful as well. What about e-waste? Do we take e-waste? Well, no, unfortunately, we can't. I mean, if someone drives in and they say, hey, I have a computer, we'll put it aside and then it will be picked up by another company at our expense, at our cost. But we really make sure that we don't get e-waste in education, as well as telling folks that they can take it to transfer stations like Riverside Recycling, but there's also e-waste take back days as well. We have a wonderful one in September. Hopefully it will go off this year without a hitch, but every September we have our open house and we take e-waste there. Look for that in our social media and on our website for the date. And finally, our last question I'll answer today is, how does our waste to energy facility run? Does it run off of natural gas all the time, or trash, or just how does it run? Well, think back to that picture of the lines on the wall and the boiler cleaned out when we're doing the repairs. We can fill that area back up with trash once we're done repairing everything, and that's where we use some natural gas to get it started. But once everything's started and up to the right temperature, then trash is burning trash is burning trash is burning trash, which is really cool. So the trash keeps our facility going, which is why we're running 24 hours a day. So we're burning constantly and keeping a wonderful, productive, efficient burn. Now, if that wasn't enough frequently asked questions for you, I'm sure you have more. More can be found here on our website. There are plenty of questions asked here as well. So with that, We would love it if you could email us any more questions that you don't find on the website or I didn't answer for you today. We would love to hear from you if you need help designing some signage, if you'd like an educational program, if you just want to call and chat and get some clarification. But we're here for you anytime, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you and have a great day.